Spring 2021, the season of older men. Relationships that teenage girls have with older men, to be more specific, whether they're 1 year older.
Senpai, go end yourself, you freak!
Or 10 years older.
Hey, do you want to sleep with me?
Ew, no, you're like 17.
Please stop trying to sleep with me.
But you're 17! Can someone explain to me what the frick frackety fuck this show is? Like I just... what? Ryo's living the dream. Great job, lots of money, and copious amounts of hot 27-year-old unprotected sex. But something's missing. Hey, blood-related sister, do you have any hot friends?
You know I'm 17, right?
Did I fucking stutter? Meet Ichika, the best friend of Ryo. Not Ryo, but Ryo. They're different people. Also siblings. Anyway, she's a ditzy, quirky high school student who just needs a strong 27-year-old man in her life. Did I mention he's 27? And she's 17? I just want to make sure that was stated. Once again. So anyway, he begins stalking her and trying to sexually harass her at every possible moment, and despite her constantly telling him to leave her alone, he continues following her around and forcing his presence on her with zero consent whatsoever, and again, she's fucking 17! I won't lie, occasionally the comedy in the show really can hit, but my fucking god, who thought this was a good idea? The show presents everything with a happy, comical, silly, uplifting tone, but like, with some simple re-edits, that tone that this series takes on becomes entirely different. But Ichika isn't the only high school girl being exploited this season. Sayu Ogawara was last seen being taken home by an adult male named Yoshida, who is legitimately respectful and doesn't try to commit a sex crime. Something that most of Higehiro's fans probably wouldn't be able to manage. For real though, Higehiro, or I shaved and then I brought a high school girl home, or Hige wo soro so she said just fuck, no, I'm not reading that shit. It's a fucking banger. Although, yeah, the second title is actually incorrect because
He shaves after he brings a high school girl home?
haha, comedy. Interestingly enough, I actually read Higehiro's manga adaptation and excerpts from the original light novel earlier this year, so seeing this get adapted into an anime so soon was honestly a pleasant surprise. What's an even, pleasanter surprise is that despite the title and premise and Sayu, the show not only creates a very wholesome and non-creepy dynamic, but actually handles these darker issues and traumas with such nuance and tact that I really do have to commend them for it. To quickly sum the show up, after being rejected by a work colleague, Yoshida runs into Sayu, a high school girl on the street, and without hesitation, Sayu offers her body up in exchange for staying with him for a few days. He's repulsed by the first half of that, but ends up letting her stay with him regardless, turning down her offers for sex consistently. And that's where the dark part comes in. She's requesting these things because all the men she's stayed with up until now have wanted her body in exchange. Yeah, truthfully, her history is really fucked up, and overall, depressing. The show's really more about Sayu's growth after experiencing those traumatic events and the rewiring of her brain to not view those awful, degrading situations as normal. The series can flip between wholesome and depressing with ease, and overall, I just highly recommend the series. I just wish that more people watching the show were watching it for the right reasons. Like, it's just so uncomfortable to wake up and see half the fucking Twitter timeline looting Sayu, despite the fact that that goes completely against the themes of the series. And don't even get me started on the incel takes over on r/animemes. Like, seriously guys, can't you just watch a harem anime or something? I say, awkwardly segueing into a discussion on the new harem anime of the season. Osamake, the rom-com where the childhood friend won't lose, takes the worst part of every romance or harem anime and makes it the primary focus. So anyway, I started watching, and it's like, alright. For a show with the funny fucking concept of declaring that the childhood friend will win before proceeding to make every love interest into a childhood friend, Osamake is dreadfully. So, you know Nisekoi and Orisuke? Well, imagine those two hopped into a hot tub time machine, traveled back to 2016, and hate-fucked the shit out of each other until they had a bastard child that nobody really wanted. Yeah, that's Full Metal Alchemist. Sorry, wait, nope, mixed up my notes there. That's Osamake. Full Metal Alchemist is the old can of beans sitting on my shelf, covered in dust that I want to eventually get around to eating, but don't care enough to do anytime soon. And for the record, SAO is my own-a-hole that I... Seriously though, Osamake's humor simply does not hit different. Actually, it doesn't hit at all. It completely misses and makes me want to die. And it doesn't really even have good characters to save it. These characters are all honestly just... I like Kachi a bit more than the others, but even she seems massively underwritten. The revenge plots are unentertaining, the waifu wars are painful to watch, and truthfully, as of episode 3, I just feel thoroughly blue-balled by the whole thing, and I'll be tuning in next week. If anything, this show has just really reminded me that the harem genre is just so fucking oversaturated. Oversaturated. Yeah, you saw this coming. Welcome back to Isekai Corner, where I torture myself, but I'm a masochist, so it's all okay. Plus, each of the isekai this season are high-key bangers, so I can't really complain. I lied. 2 of them are bangers. I've been killing slimes for 300 years and maxed out my level is just a solid, it's fun to watch, I guess. Also, holy fucking shit, that title is a mouthful. Also, double holy shit, why is there so much fucking slime shit in isekai recently? I will never forgive you for what you've done. Honestly though, the show whose name I refuse to repeat is actually much better than the usual seasonal isekai shows we get. Like, it may not be especially good, but it's pretty cute and pretty fun, even if it does seem to drag pretty often. I'd recommend it as a kind of background, turn your brain off type of show. But seriously, fuck that title. So the next show I'm going to talk about is... God fucking damn it. Full Dive, the ultimate next-gen Full Dive RPG is even shittier than real life. Why the fuck did they put Full Dive in there twice? Were they fucking trying to just make it as long as humanly possible?
Pain pickle.
That said, Full Dive is actually a damn good show, I cannot lie. I know we've seen a ridiculously high amount of isekai subversions in recent years, but I really think the comedy in this one actually works very well, and the quick shifts in tone make the experience, well, intense, to say the least. It's honestly one of the only VR MMO RPG shows I've actually enjoyed, probably because it specifically excels at showing why hyperrealism in that genre would fucking suck. If I'm being high-key honest, this is probably one of, if not the most entertaining show of the season for me, even if it very obviously isn't as good as several other ones. I just love seeing sadistic torture waifus who dream of golden showers, what can I say? Although fuck Rain is tits, they're unnaturally shaped and it just seems like they're trying too hard. Is this the weirdest thing I could possibly nitpick? Yes. Do I give a flying fuck? Possibly. You'll have to get back to me on that. The final isekai of the season I'll be highlighting is Combatants Will Be Dispatched, brought to us by the one and only Natsume Akatsuki, known best for his work on Kimono Michi. Oh, yeah, I guess he also worked on this little project called 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲, but that one was a real sleeper hit, so I'm sure none of you have ever heard of it. Combatants Will Be Dispatched seems to pretty much just be advertising itself as, yep, made by the 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲 guy, and it literally takes only like half an episode for them to just fully reference 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲. So yeah, really the show is 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲 reskinned. Like, it's not a one-to-one copied premise, but most of the character archetypes are nearly identical, and even several plot lines seem eerily similar. However, time for an incoming hot take! I high-key think that Combatants is funnier than 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲 so far. Like, I've laughed more watching the first 4 or 5 episodes of this show than I did watching the first several episodes of 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲. With that said, I still think 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲 is a much more competently written series as a whole, but I genuinely think Combatants captures that raw, ridiculous comedy just a bit better. The show is definitely super rough around the edges, but seeing Combat Agent 6 just doing super evil shit randomly is just so fucking funny. Final verdict, if you didn't like 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲, you won't like this, but if you did, then you probably will. Speaking of connections to previously aired series, and holy shit, my segues keep getting worse, it's time for the
Anime Sequel Lightning Round.
grab your unwashed, deteriorating Saki Yoshida body pillow and let's zoom through some of these.
I don't think UA's courses are very well suited for the online format.
My Hero Academia, it's back, and with it comes, I don't know, lore, action. It's pretty much just the same My Hero that you all know and sort of like. Although I've been hearing from manga readers that shit is gonna go down this season, so I'm hyped as fuck, boy! But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a little late to try and sell My Hero to anyone. Like, y'all already know if the show's for you or not. It's not that complicated. Grar.
Rapping zombies, singing zombies, and zombies.
I don't fucking know. I'm sure y'all remember Zombieland Saga, but what if there was a sequel? Well, there's a sequel, and my god, is it so fucking good. Like, yes, the first season was conceptually great, but let's be real, it was pretty hit or miss. But so far, season 2 has been nothing but hits. They straight up do a huge time skip in the first episode and give the series a completely different vibe, with the manager growing drunken and depressed, and goddamn, I loved this episode so much. The Fran Chocho girls are back and better than ever, and I could not be more pleased. So I'm a spider, so what is continuing, and I'm gonna be real, I'm like 10 episodes behind. I need to catch the fuck up on this. I've heard nothing but praise from all the light novel readers regarding this series, so I really don't know why I haven't gotten myself caught up yet, but I assume there's some sort of, spider shenanigans going on, and maybe world domination, and maybe, just maybe, tentacle porn, or arachnid porn. I don't really... why are you still airing? Burn it with fire! Yes, Fruits Basket, the legendary series that every weeaboo girlfriend you'll ever have is obsessed with. The show that revolutionized shoujo romance, and the series that will probably continue to be discussed for decades to come. So anyway, yeah, no, I'm not a fan. Now please allow me to explain, as I feel right off the bat it needs to be specified that I am not calling the series bad. I mean, I think in this final season especially, it's hard to dispute that there was a lot of love and care put into these characters and this show, and I'm not going to discount that for a single second. I think it has absolutely earned the following it has, it's just not for me. Sometimes I can vibe with shoujo shows, but it really does depend on the series. Watching the Fruits Basket remake, I've never really been able to get myself very invested in the characters, primarily because the show just wasn't really meant for me, and that's okay. The reason I'm not emotionally impacted by any plot developments happening this far into the series is because I never really connected with the original characters when I first watched the show. I may eventually go back and rewatch it, or perhaps read the manga, but yeah, I just wanted to get that off my chest so that my dumbass opinion could be on my permanent record for the rest of my life.
So, why are you still watching it, then?
Yeah, I'm practically incapable of dropping a show. Like, even if I hated it, I just could not drop it. Leaving something unfinished just drives me crazy. I know I'm an idiot. Welcome to Demon School is back. Just like the first season, the second season delivers fun fucking Demon School hijinks with a fun cast of characters and an overall fun atmosphere. The show is fun, and that's all there is to it. This season also brings us how not to summon a demon lord, Omega? That's the Omega symbol, right? Why couldn't they just write it out? What the fuck? Or just call it season 2? Ain't that a sign of quality? I really don't know why they bothered continuing this series when they know damn well that nothing will ever top that scene where Diablo performs an exorcism via intense fingering. It's actually quite amusing because, for as legendary as that episode is, the rest of the ecchi in the series is so unbelievably mediocre that you'd think the fingering episode was from a different anime entirely.
This is worthless.
So yeah, if you hadn't already figured it out, Season 2 continues with the mediocre ecchi, which wouldn't even be a problem if they put care into the characters or the plot, but they don't! If your primary concern is the ecchi, then make it good! If you're gonna do the exact same ecchi shit every fucking episode, then make the plot good! This isn't fucking rocket science, guys! Alright, fuck it. I think the time has come for me to educate you fucking heathens. We can trace the roots of ecchi back many, many decades to the manga series 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲, first published in 1968. Widely considered the very first ecchi manga series, 𝓮𝓬𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲 follows a school filled to the brim with perverts, with youthful eroticism frothing at the mouth of nearly every character present. The manga got an anime adaptation several decades later, though anime may be an incorrect word to use, as it was actually licensed by Pink Pineapple, who took the series a step further and made it into a full hentai. Ecchi is generally a label used to describe a series with sexual overtones, with an emphasis on eroticism over perversion, though sometimes blurring that line for the sake of creative freedom. Ecchi is an art form, and it's one that requires the utmost precision in order to perfect. The goal isn't to get some ugly bastard to bust a nut, the goal is to engage with our sociological perceptions of eroticism in a tasteful and subtly titillating manner. You can't be repetitive or stale, and you can't just show full penetration. It's an art. They say that censorship breeds creativity, and that's absolutely true. The more restrictions you have, the more creative solutions you need to come up with to succeed despite those limitations. Some of the greatest pieces of art over the years were spawned because of limitations. However, this philosophy only applies if you, as an artist, are actually exerting the full force of your creativity. You can easily just lay back and let those restrictions control your art, doing the bare minimum amount of work. This entire discussion is, of course, referring to the oversaturation of ecchi in the current anime sphere, and the very corporate and mechanical feel that you can find in almost every modern ecchi series. Take a look at How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, for example. Nearly every ecchi moment in the show occurs after one of the girls, intentionally or unintentionally, presses their tits into Diablo. And this happens so fucking often, and every time he has the same over-exaggerated reaction. It's boring. It's genuinely fucking boring. There's no effort here, there's no intricate crafting of a scenario, it's just the same fucking concept that's already been done to death before the show railed the concept even further into the ground. The fingering exorcism episode is so effective because the creatives behind the series actually put their all into that concept, that scenario, and worked with their restrictions to capture that blend of eroticism and comedy. Do ecchi shows have to be rated MA? Not necessarily. You can definitely capture that feeling of unbridled eroticism without legitimate nudity. But the issue is that too often, creators use that TV-14 rating as an excuse for their own laziness. Nudity in MA ecchi series can certainly be detrimental sometimes. Take for example High School DxD, which overuses nudity to such an extreme that the ecchi is the least interesting part of the series by the 4th season. However, even with an MA rating, there are still many restrictions and, things that can't be broadcast or published. When artists challenge those restrictions in fun and creative ways, that's when the true art of ecchi shines through. or just make fun of the entire ecchi genre and psychologically abuse your male lead. This poor guy. Just kidding. Fuck this guy. What a loser. This wet towel of a human being deserves all the psychological torture he gets. Although now I finally understand why everyone was calling Uzaki-chan a worse version of Don't Bully Me, Miss Nagatoro, because, yeah, it totally is. And this show is great. I never thought I'd find someone else's suffering so damn enjoyable. Well, actually, my favorite anime is ReZero, so maybe I have a type. So if Uzaki-chan is a ripoff of Nagatoro, Darling in the Franxx is a ripoff of Evangelion, and Avengers Endgame is a ripoff of Shrek 2, it's safe to say that Tokyo Revengers is a ripoff of Erased, right? Well, you'd think so, given the synopsis and most of the first episode, but despite a very similar premise, Tokyo Revengers has a very distinct vibe and a completely different set of challenges that the protagonist must overcome within his past. And that is all I feel about saying about Tokyo Revengers. And you can't stop me, I'm unpredictable! What move will I make next? Ooh, I'm crazy! You don't want to mess with me, I'm... Our Lord and Savior, Teppei motherfucking Nagatsuki, has graced us with another breathtaking fucking series. And no, I'm not talking about Warlords of 𝓵𝓬𝓬𝓱𝓲. Although I do have much to say about that series at a later date. But no, the show I'm talking about today is Vivy. Obviously. I mean, I don't know why I would be talking about anything else. Anyway, holy hell. Vivy is so goddamn good. The genius writing of Teppei Nagatsuki meets the insane production value of Studio Wit, and god fucking damn it, why couldn't ReZero Season 2 have gotten this treatment? They're just a good adaptation in general. Why are we here? Just to suck. The action heights of this show are dandy, the tender moments are tendy, and the singy moments are fuck, she's fallen and she can't get up! Dated reference. I've heard episode 6 is damn near orgasmic in quality as well, so I'm excited to check that out once I've finished writing this fucking script as I power through this motherfucking hangover. And of course my ADHD isn't helping, as you could probably tell by whatever the fuck that ecchi rant was. And what it was fucking quality. God, this video is gonna be such a mess. The amusing thing is that despite the fact that Vivy is literally written by Teppei Nagatsuki, there are far more ReZero fans hyping up 86 over Vivy. And you know what? I can't fucking complain. I'd actually been thinking about reading the 86 light novel before the anime came out, so to say I had high expectations would be an understatement. And goddamn, this show is fucking stellar. Absolutely brilliant seeds of social commentary, fucking riveting world setup, and a really solid foundation for character dynamics going forward. For example, I'm really fucking excited to see how the protagonist's worldview shifts as the series goes on. The best part is that this is a rare light novel adaptation that actually takes its time and allows room for breathing rather than just zipping through as much content as humanly fucking possible. And yes, this is a direct call out because adapting 160 pages in a single episode, it's just a desecration of the source material. Like, 86 adapted 15 pages in an episode, and it was awesome. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just really salty over how much the ReZero anime dropped the ball on that finale. I really don't know if I will ever recover from that fucking travesty. Okay, I need to stop talking about ReZero. All right, let's spin the magic wheel. Monogatari! Ah, yes, magic brain wheel that I definitely didn't specifically write as a segue into the next show I want to talk about. Speaking of Monogatari, did you know that Nisio Isin, the author of Monogatari, has written other things? I know, apparently the 28 plus Monogatari novels weren't enough, so he's written several other series as well, including the Pretty Boy Detective Club, which, as you could fucking guess from this horrible lead-in, is, being adapted into an anime this season. And while obviously it's being adapted by Shaft, we're actually seeing the chief director Akiyuki Shinbo return after his direction work on, wouldn't you know it, the Monogatari series as well. So this is pretty much a recipe for success, and while the first episode didn't quite catch my interest, Episode 2 smacked me upside the head and reminded me that this creative team is fucking awesome, and my interest has been maintained since. So anyway, let's talk about the shows this season that made us go, bruh, what?
𝓮⁻⁻⁻⁻⁻になった
To your eternity. Bruh, what? The first episode, holy fucking shit. I cried. I fucking bawled. This episode, on its own, was one of the most powerful things I've seen in the anime sphere for a good while. Like, motherfucking fuck. Such a simple concept, yet executed brilliantly. The direction of this series is superb, and it takes what could have been a mediocre premise and raises it to an insanely masterful level. The second episode wasn't quite up to that same level, and I'm sure a good amount of the other episodes aren't going to reach this peak as well. But not only do I anticipate more masterpiece level episodes, I'd recommend watching the show solely to experience that first episode. Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on that episode if you've already seen it, and if you haven't, then go fucking watch it and then comment your thoughts down below, because I'm genuinely curious to see what varied reactions to the content we've all had. Shadow's house. Bro, what? Well, it might not be technically tagged as a horror anime, and, you know, technically there's no actual horror moments, god damn does it unsettle me. Basically, there's a weird dynamic where the humans have to serve as the doubles for the shadows, showing expressions and mannerisms while also doing the cleaning, all while the shadows just live their daily lives. Motherfucker, scary shit. I love it. It reminds me of the Promised Neverland a lot, kind of in regards to that giant mystery of the world outside of an isolated location, and I'm really enjoying this show so far. Let's just hope it doesn't go down the route of the Promised Neverland and adapt an entire arc in a single fucking image. I'm tired, guys. Seasonal anime has drained me, and I just feel like it's so much harder to enjoy these shows anymore. I barely have the focus to even sit through these episodes, yet the grind never ends. We keep watching and watching, and the seasonal anime grind never stops. It never stops. Winter ends, spring begins in the same week. Spring, summer, summer, fall. And when fall anime ends, winter immediately begins once again. You don't get a break. You don't get time to catch up, talk to your children, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your pet armadillo. It just keeps going. And it'll continue going long after you die. We'll all be dead, and the cycle of content will just continue? Isn't that terrifying? Knowing that the cycle will never end? Isn't that fucking terrifying? So that's why we should all just play visual novels instead.